Mama Patti, as you are known to your adoring public.
Wow.
Welcome back. Fourth time to For Real.
Fourth time. Okay, that's a goal. Maybe this is it, right?
Nope, it's not. I'm sorry, but I get direct messages, emails, comments all the year long. I know you think I'm lying, but I do. I do. People are very excited about you.
Well, our relatives. Maybe.
No, I haven't even heard from a relative. These are all people outside of the bloodline. So welcome back.
Boy.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me and bribing me with another plate of cookies, which I've already had one.
So easy. You just make it too easy. Mom, Merry Christmas early. You are our Christmas Advent queen every year. Did you know?
Wow. Yeah. This is the beginning of Advent, right?
It really is. We're in it. I have a question to begin.
Okay.
This is a softball question.
No. I mean, okay. Okay.
It's
okay,
not a yes or no.
I'm trying.
I need you to tamp down your knee-jerk no and just enter in.
All right.
Okay. Do you have a favorite Christmas carol or a favorite line in a Christmas carol?
Ooh.
Anything that whips you up every single time.
Does it have to be Christmas? I mean, I know it's Advent. Can't I just go to a hymn?
Any hymn is fine. Let's just open it up.
It's because now when you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is, and I don't know why this is, but I grew up with hymns.
Yeah.
So and I love contemporary Christian music also.
Well,
but I grew up with
it's real bad.
No, I like it. And I like almost all of them. And when people complain, they say, "Oh, it's so repetitious." I think, read the Psalms. Those were all songs, and it was like, over and over. So that doesn't bother me. But growing up with hymns, I realized as an adult, and when I sang them as a kid, I didn't even know really what I was singing. But you get almost a whole theology by 4 verses in some of them, a lot of them. And they were so beautifully stated that I appreciate them now again in this season of my life. And at night, we listen to this station that has mostly the old hymns. There's one hymn that I realized, because I was thinking about that, always in my head, like when you wake up and you realize it's going in your head, and it's "Come Thou Fount of Many Blessings." And I don't know if it's because I love that beginning when it says, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Because as a musician, I've tuned kids and myself for 1,050 years. And it's hard to play in tune on a violin, and it's easier for some than others, but you have to really work at it. And I love that thought, that picture in my mind of him tuning my heart perfectly in tune to sing his grace. So that's not really a Christmas song, but it's okay.
Love that line.
Yeah, I love that line too. So
I have a sign above my front door that says that line.
You do.
Did you know that?
Yes, you do.
I mean, I'm going to take a photo and I'll share it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea too. And I love the idea, maybe because we're musicians, tuning is such a repetitive situation. You do it every time. In fact, I've been with you when it's been really cold out or really hot out, and your violin needs multiple tunings in the course of a few hours because it's a recalibration every time. So I like that idea.
I'm looking forward to heaven when I never have to tune it again.
Yeah, it'll just be auto-tuned.
Everything's going to be so perfectly in tune.
Well, Mom, that was my soft pitch intro, and you went to deep theology.
Wow,
so I can't wait to see what's next. What's next for us?
Softer one.
Okay, since you are a musician, Christmas is the time of musicians. I have many memories growing up of you doing Christmas gigs, playing the Messiah, playing the Nutcracker, playing at our church. So many Christmas Eve stories. Christmas Eve services.
Yes.
Do you have any particular thoughts as a professional musician behind the scenes?
Ooh.
What are some Christmas pieces or works that were really hard to play or rough to play, or things that you loved every year? So like, for example, the Messiah. How's the Messiah for stringed instruments? Because we love to listen to it, but
we love to listen to it. and we love to hear the singing, and it's interminable.
It's so long
for a string player, because some of the things are so slow, and you just it's hard to play slow and not get really, really tired. So well, but it's always fun because people love it, and so the audience loves it. And we used to do. I used to play for some sing along. Those,
so fun. Yeah, fun. Take your own score.
Right.
Yep.
So that comes to mind. Hard stuff, though, if you're being, for hired gigs. Oh, the Nutcracker was a nightmare. For me, strings. It's hard. I thought the first violin parts were just, and you have to be just on all the time. So
well, Tchaikovsky, wasn't he Russian?
Yes, he
the
was.
Russians, they like to put us through
blame it on the Russians one more time.
I don't know. All Russian music is tough, I think. So,
It's thick in it. But, don't you love the Nutcracker? I love to go to it, and I love to hear it. But
so since you've played both of those particular pieces a million times, if someone called you tomorrow and said, hey, we need you to be first violin section of the Nutcracker, would you have to practice, or do you?
I'd say, I can't hear what you're saying. Let me turn my hearing aid up. Oh, sorry. Nope, I'm busy.
Would you really? It's too, I
can't just sit in and do it. Okay. No, it takes, I don't want to work that hard anymore.
Yeah. So you'd still practice is what I'm saying.
But
even though it's familiar.
So many things. And there's so many beautiful classical type pieces that they do in churches at Christmas time too. And it's really neat. If I wasn't so tired from trying to do everything with Christmas, it would have been neater.
Right.
But no, I did. I enjoyed all that. And there's just beautiful, beautiful music written for Christmas time. So
totally. Do you have any particular memories of being a part of a Christmas gig or Christmas Eve service that went awry? Or one that was really meaningful? Either way.
Well, actually, my memories of this, because I played almost every year, and our church would do a big thing at Christmas,
an orchestra,
was I always felt like I was coming in hot.
Right.
And everybody did. I mean, bless all the people that do these. You have no idea all the work that goes into them. And, everybody'd be kind of nervous because you didn't know if you had it down yet. They're all just volunteering to do it. And I think the Lord blesses our community efforts of doing those kinds of things, because we all remember them. If you talk to people that have been in music stuff at their church at holiday times,
usually there's a Christmas.
You've got wonderful memories of it. I remember one time, and it wasn't anything that went wrong, but it was very dramatic. And when the baby they had the song with the manger scene, and we had the real baby in there. And at the climax of the song, they lifted, I think it was Joseph, whoever it was Joseph that year, lifted this baby up in the air at the climax. And that was popular at that time. What was the name of it?
Yeah, Lion King.
Lion King. Up in the air.
Oh my word.
Like this, and it was very moving. I still loved it. I loved it so much. But yeah.
Were you nervous about the baby?
A little, but I was playing at the same time. I couldn't control everything.
Oh, that is a hoot. I love it. I remember, mine isn't a Mufasa moment, but I remember being very moved emotionally at our church growing up. Yeah. I think Mark was with me. So we were at Christmas Eve at our church.
Oh.
Must have been during college or end of college or beginning marriage. And our friend Mary sang "O Holy Night."
Oh.
And "O Holy Night" for a vocalist is rough.
Hard.
And typically when those first triplets start every year, I'm like, oh, please, let's not. Because it's really tough. It's like the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody thinks they can sing it, and actually very few can.
And she did.
Oh, did she sing the socks off of that piece?
Too.
But it was the first time that I heard that piece through the lens of worship, which I know sounds absolutely ridiculous. It's totally a worship song. But she got to the refrain where she says, fall on your knees.
Yeah.
And she stamped her foot like a command, fall on. And I started to blubber. And Mark still, when we talk about that, he gets teary because we felt the same thing, that we hadn't ever heard that as such a direct and beautiful command to fall on your knees in front of the babies. So anyway, that was a beautiful moment, and has really given me a newfound appreciation for that song, which typically I cannot handle because so many don't hit that note.
It's not trite, but you hear it so much. So you kind of forget. That reminds that whole picture you just made, though, of falling on your knees at the manger. I've been thinking about that. This has been in my head the last couple of weeks. And I think it was triggered by something I was reading. I read, it was a devotional or something that triggered this thought. And then it talked about the verse where, it says he humbled himself and came as a baby. And this thought came in my head. I felt so bad. I almost start to cry that he had to be, I've romanticized this baby. And I thought, why couldn't he have done it like Tom Cruise in the Olympics and come in fully grown, spectacular way, which is what he deserved, and then done his 3 years? He still could have done that, but no, he came so helpless that he had to be burped and he had to be taken care of. And I was apologizing to the Lord. I'm so sorry that you had to do that. You didn't have to do that. And it's made me it's made me not be so frivolous about that part of the story. What a story we have. There's no other world religion that tells that kind of story where the God is humbled, comes for us, comes to us, sacrifices for every other. Name a religion where it isn't, you better sacrifice to the God and you better do something because you're going to have to earn this thing. This is the only one who makes stuff like this up. Well, God did, but I've been very nostalgic this Christmas, and that's not like me.
No, I love that. Really. And Mom, what you're saying is it's still so countercultural.
It is.
Humility is so countercultural. We don't lead with that. We don't move into the room as a knee-jerk reaction.
I
with
love
humility.
what Bob Goff said. Jesus came to live with us so that we wouldn't wonder what God thinks about us. I love that. That whole humbling thing has been just stuck in my head this Christmas.
Well, listeners, I think you can.
Is there a cookie close by?
There are caramels right there. In case you need half the way through, it would be a number for the listeners' ears. And also, listeners, I'm sure you can tell why I would love to write a book about grace. Why I wrote about grace. My mom taught me all this stuff, guys.
No,
yes, I did.
Okay, since you brought that up.
Okay, well, that's later. But go ahead.
No, I'm going to say this right now. Before you can distract me.
Are you getting bouncy?
No, because I read your book at the beginning before it was in a book, because you said, make sure I got some of this right about the stories. And I love the story. It made me laugh and it made me bawl these stories, because some of them are just so darn funny, and not funnier to us than probably to anybody else, the family ones. But then you would write these beautiful synopsis things at the end of putting the face of grace on all of our stories. Not just everybody's got stories like that.
Indeed.
Some of them not as humbling as some of our stories. And you were so sweet. You made Randy and I just look like, I said to him at one point, she's going into fiction here. This is way better.
That's
than
not true. Everything's true. Everything's true. Okay, guys, libel lawyers. That is all true. Mom, in fact, I really have to ask you on the record.
What?
Since we last talked on the Mama Patti episode 2023, this book came out with all of your stories. How are we feeling? Are you angry?
Fine.
Is there anything you'd like to correct?
Write a book on being humbled, don't tell about when my skirt fell off in church.
Is that in there?
We're not going there. No, it's not in there. But see, it's scary.
This is a good time to talk about it. Can we just real quick?
No.
You brought it up. Let's do.
Well, okay. Okay, I'll give you what really happened, because this has grown into a legend in the church. And it's not really, a lot of it's not true. But our pastor called for us to come down and pray.
Yeah.
We'd go on
And
Sunday
you
night. It
obeyed.
was family night.
Totally.
And lots of times he'd say, come down with your family and pray. And I love that. And we all went down. We always sat in the balcony. So went down the balcony, got to the altar. He started praying. We're in our little group. And Lindsay's like knee high. No,
Little.
she is like waist high.
4 or 5.
Yeah. And you and Ryan. And I had this skirt on that just had a button. And evidently the button twisted while I was standing there. We're praying, and I felt it slide off my hips down to the floor. And of course, I was very shocked. My best friend Faith was
you were
coming
wearing
down the
something
step.
underneath.
I had a slip.
Yeah.
Thank the Lord.
Well,
do people wear slips anymore?
Not ever.
Okay, I haven't worn a skirt
That might have been the only
day.
time.
I mean, honestly, I haven't. But anyway, Faith's coming down. She comes behind me. She's helping me pull my skirt up, and she's whispering in my ear, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. We were right by the first pew. I looked behind me, and there was a man who I didn't know almost laying down laughing so hard. And I wanted to say, I mean, people would come up to me in the lobby and say, I almost didn't go back to that church. They'd come up and they'd make comments about this, and I was like, why were your eyes open?
Yeah, sinner.
It was prayer. Does
You're looking at
nobody
my skivvies.
pray in this church? To this day, can you tell it's been kind of a hard
It's
thing
bringing
for
some
me?
things up.
Never wore a skirt again. You won't find one in my closet.
That's
Go ahead, go
true.
look. I don't. I wear pants.
Oh, Mama.
Now it's out. You don't have to write about that.
Well, I might anyway. It's such a zinger. Speaking of stories that didn't make it into the book.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we've talked about this on Mama Patti episodes before, but if we have, no worries. It's worth a revisit. I want to talk to you about how Dad went through a phase of Christmas tree retrieval.
Didn't we talk about that?
Well, I don't know. I'm going to bring it up again.
With the flocked Christmas tree? We have a flocked fake Christmas tree now.
Well, you bought that one.
We bought it, and we can keep it legally. But he found one. It was when they first started doing that back, the
80s.
They never used to do that. And it was a real one laying on the curb because it was after Christmas. And he was like, oh my gosh, that thing's in perfect shape. Took the tree, put it in our basement storage.
Well, put it in the minivan with the
minivan
wood, with the paneling.
First, and then it was a little bit funny the next year, but we saved it and used it probably 2 years.
Yeah.
It was such a total fire hazard. I mean, honestly, look back at that.
I can't believe we made it. I can't believe we did that to save what? $60 on the top end for a flocked tree in 85.
He's still leaving that down.
He put it in the crawl space. I remember him shoving it in, being like, this is perfect. Next year it'll be great. Lugging it out, but Mom.
That's when I went in and had another cookie.
I wanted to ask you about that because as the wife, weren't you like, wait, what?
No, I was
pick our battles.
You pick your battles because he is that kind of personality.
Yes, he is.
And it's an adventure, living with him. But that is one of the funny stories, and he gets a little sheepish about it now. But now,
well, he would give me grief if I did that now, but things have changed. Also, I have married a person who's very attuned to our budget.
He probably loves that story.
He does. In fact, if any of our neighbors are listening, please just dispose of your trees quietly and don't let Mark know, because he probably would put it in the storeroom for a year.
Well, we have all fake ones now.
Well, and that flocking situation, I don't even know if people do that anymore, but it was a real tree sprayed with that white stuff.
It was a real tree. That's why I said it probably would have gone, it would have been an explosion. I'm sure.
What's that popping noise coming from the basement? No matter. Saved us 60. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I don't know if Dad listens to these episodes, but I think we've probably maligned him with that story twice now, which is
He's
something
a great guy.
merits.
He's a really, really great guy.
Land on the plane. I just want one more beat about how I have fully aired our family laundry in print nationwide. internationally even. And you are in those stories. You know, Marie, you mentioned Bob Goff. Maria, our friend, has said that she wrote her book in part as a reaction to Bob's book because she read his book and thought, is that how it happened? And so she wanted her own version out there. Do you have any desire to write a book to correct what I have said or add to it?
No. I don't write books, Kim.
You write a great Christmas letter, and you've told me you're not writing it.
Don't notice to everybody, you're not getting one from me this year.
I'm sad about that. They're so funny.
I've got things to do now in my retirement, and I'll send you a picture, and that's about it. So Merry Christmas, everybody. I love you all.
Listen, I am a weirdo that still writes that dumb letter.
Well, I like
hate writing it every year, and I feel trapped. I'm a writer. I have to do it.
Well, you can be set free if you want to, but I want your letter.
Honestly, that letter.
It is a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of work.
I know. Fine. Really, I do it because I don't journal or write in any way about my family unless it's in a full-blown book. And so we have no record of our family other than an annual letter.
I know that other people that say the same thing. At least it gives you a record of what your year was like. Otherwise, you're going to forget it by February 1.
It's
if
true.
You're like me.
Even January. Also, I will say just a tip and trick for people who do still write the letter. First of all, I'm sure you're well older than me, and we're only the geriatrics still do this. I love you all. Second of all, to prevent your letter from spiraling, I'd keep it short. That's my own. That's just my tip and trick. Okay, I have just 2 more questions for you, Mother. Well, you've answered all these wonderful.
Wow.
Did you just check your clock?
Well, yeah.
You gotta go. Okay. First, I do love to know. Book list. I heard you muttering when you came in. You talked to the dog about your most recent reading.
Because
I want to hear, what are you writing? What are you reading?
I'm reading a lot of really good books, but I can't remember them all. But the one recently has been biblical historical fiction.
How do we feel about this?
I like it because, and I know it's fiction, but it's neat to, like, one's about Rahab, one is about Queen Esther, but like the one about Rahab, who thinks about Rahab? Well, Rahab is in the lineage of Jesus, made the book.
Sure did.
Not only made the book, but is in his lineage, and she was a prostitute. You got like 2 verses or something about Rahab. And so this author goes to the context of the culture, which was the Babylonian culture, and what that was like, and what they had, temple prostitutes and all of this, and kind of puts it into a story form that maybe it was like, maybe not, but it's just really fun to read it that way.
Okay.
So I've been liking that.
Okay, so what's the name of that author?
I think it's Tessa Afshar.
Okay, fantastic. And all right, I'll believe you. I will just say some biblical fiction is bad, but you're saying it's good. I like your taste in books.
Well, I like a good story.
Yes,
and it's
you
a
do.
Good
and
story.
Good writing.
Yeah, and it's good writing. So it's easy. It's an easy thing to read, and you know, it's just entertaining. I liked it a lot.
How did you find out about this woman? Who do you get recommendations from friends, family?
I don't remember. I don't remember how I found about this, but my sisters read like crazy.
They're good readers,
And I'm reading a fiction, non-spiritual book, fiction. In fact, I think it's the best book at Barnes and Noble. And my sister said, "Yeah, this was good." Called James, and it's about it's like Huckleberry Finn.
A retelling, yes.
A retelling.
I got that for Mark for his birthday.
Oh, you did?
He hasn't read it.
Well,
Mark.
It is really interesting and hard to read in some ways.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know it's fiction, but it's kind of based on a lot of reality. So that was funny.
Okay, great. I'll have to look at the name of that author that escapes me, but we'll put that in the show notes. Okay, any other books you want to recommend before we sign off of that question?
Not really.
Okay, then my final question, you get the last word, Mom.
Last question.
When you think about the Christmas story, and you actually started at the top of the conversation in this vein, how do you connect, my favorite word, grace, with the idea of Advent and Emmanuel, God with us?
The idea of grace with all of that?
Like, how does grace intersect with Christmas for you these days?
Well, it's all the same thing, really. I mean, I don't know how you separate the two. So, yeah, this year has been a year full of grace for me personally. Lots of grace. And so, yeah, it's a, when in the Bible, when they use the term, and I go through the Psalms all the time. And I love that because the Psalms are so real. Half of them, more than half, are laments. And then it's Proverbs, which gives us all these nuggets of how, not promises, but principles of how to live so you have a good life, a long life, a pleasing life. And then Ecclesiastics, which pretty much is like a rebuttal saying everything is terrible. Why would that all be in there? Well, it's still all grace. Every single one of those points to grace. And the Bible, in the Psalms especially, I think, talks about his unending, is it unending grace? And I think Eugene Peters, unending love, unfailing love. And Eugene Peterson calls it love that never quits. And that, for me, that's kind of the embodiment of grace. His love never quits. So that's why I'm safe. All of it is a gift. And I've been feeling that this year a lot. Maybe because I'm getting really old. I'm really old, Kim.
You really are, Mom.
I'm getting there. And so maybe because I'm, in my season that I don't think in your season, think so much about how all this works together because I got more time to think about it. And I've been around the block a few times. So yeah, I think it's all the same. That's a really great book that you wrote.
Oh,
did I say that already?
You say it every time we talk, actually.
I'm listening to the Audible now, and that's the most fun because I can hear it in your voice, but to actually hear it in your voice is really fun, Kim.
I just want to say out loud, I did not plant any of this publicity. I asked her about grace and Christmas, and we got to Audible. So. Okay. Mom.
Yes.
You are the embodiment of grace to me. I've seen it over and over. If grace means something beautiful that we don't deserve, that's what you are.
Don't make me cry over my cookies.
It's the truth. I love you so dearly. Thank you for letting me coerce you into this conversation again. And see you in 2025.
I love you. Merry Christmas, Kimmy.